All right, nice day to go flying.
Often there's a thread that weaves its way through families, binding them together. In the case of the London Rinehart clan, it's a love of flying. Terry Rinehart has been a pilot since she was a teenager, and her passion for aviation was passed down to her twin daughters, Kelly and Lauren. Over the years, 3 generations of women have taken to the skies, and it all started with Terry's mom, who was a WASP during World War II.
Earphones and throat mic.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. I mean, I think she's such an inspiration. The fact that she was flying all these airplanes, single-engine, multi-engine airplanes in her early 20s, being a commander of the base, being commander of all these women, flying back and forth across the United States day after day. It was an inspiration.
Flying was a family affair. Terry's dad was also a pilot during World War II, and the kids always seemed to be airborne. When she was growing up, getting into an airplane was just like jumping into the family car.
We flew every weekend, so my sister and I'd pile in the back of a little airplane, and my parents would fly, and we'd sit back there and play with our dolls and color, and my parents would turn around and say, "Aren't you looking outside? Aren't you excited?" And we go, "It's the same old thing. We're flying. We do it every day."
When most kids were learning to drive a car, Terry was getting her pilot's license.
I started flying at 16 and kept working on my licenses, but not really with any goal in mind of what I wanted to do with my life and where I wanted to go. And when I was 19 years old, I read about the girl who was the first female pilot to be hired by Scandinavian Airlines. And I said, that's what I want to do. I want to be an airline pilot.
The problem was that airlines in the U.S. weren't hiring any female commercial pilots in the early 1970s.
So every time I'd get another license or another rating or get more flying time, I'd go and upgrade my applications with all the airlines. Both my parents were always encouraging, never telling me that I couldn't do something, and so I just kept working towards that goal and finally got hired in 1976 as Western Airlines' first female pilot.
Getting hired was one thing, but Terry still had to prove herself, and for a long time, she was under the microscope.
I think that's always the case when you're a female or a minority in a group of people that, you know, you don't really fit in. You're going to be looked at a little bit more carefully. So I think the females that were hired initially were scrutinized a lot more. But I have to say, everybody that I flew with at Western Airlines was so accepting and so encouraging and so positive about getting hired. This was when the women's movement was going into full bloom, and really everybody was great.
Come fly with me, let's fly away.
In the mid-1970s, Terry and other female pilots became pretty newsworthy. Making headlines was nice, but Terry really wanted to be making a family. Eventually, she became a flying mom.
As a working mother, I think I got to spend as much, if not more, time with my kids than a woman who goes to work at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning and comes home at 5 at night. Because I'd work 2 or 3 day trips, and then I'd be home for 4 or 5 days. And then I'd work and be gone for 2 days and home for 4 days.
Terry Rinehart would go on to spend 28 years as a commercial pilot for Western and Delta Airlines. And she's still flying today.
What I would tell any girl about any career is that don't let anybody tell you you can't do something. Don't let anybody discourage you. Don't let anybody say there are no women, whatever. And do whatever you want to do. Do whatever your heart leads you and whatever you love doing, whatever that happens to be. But don't take no for an answer.
Pack up, let's fly away. And don't tell your mama.